Five, four, three.
Good evening, and welcome to the Reel McCoy. I'm your host, Meffistoe, and always with me, my hetero life mate. Oh, my feelings. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How you doing, bud?
I'm good. What is the Reel McCoy? You might ask. The Reel McCoy is your weekly movie podcast where we ask you to go watch a movie. You watch it, come back to us, and we break it down for you. And we endlessly and ceaselessly talk into the minutia of the thing. So it is November, but it's also Thanksgiving. And what is a Thanksgiving to do but to talk about a little movie that came together and was made into a very big movie called The Green Mile. It kind of opened up a few little careers here and there, but we'll talk about it.
Which is very odd because, again, it was a short story technically, and we talked about this backstage. It's surprising how long this film is.
Oh yeah, I forgot how actually long the it's sort of like it is basically, but it breezed by. It when I rewatched it, it kind of breezed by a little bit. Some of it kind of skipped, but never mind. We'll talk about it maybe later. So how many times did you actually? I know you're a busy man. You watched it at least once.
I was
twice.
able to actually watch it fully twice.
You're insane.
I know it's
you are
it's
absolutely
a lot.
you're a maniac for doing that. But yeah, like I said, I watched it. I had to skim a little bit, you know, here and there, you know, in transition parts and a little bit of the Wild Bill stuff. I've passed a little bit because I know exactly what's going on in the movie piece by piece, but I had to refresh myself because, like I told you behind the stage, but backstage, I completely phased out that Harry Dean Stanton is in this movie completely.
Yeah,
and I was like, I was happily surprised. I was like, oh, of course he's in this. Of course he's in this. All right, cool. Now
Walking
that
the
we
green
have,
mile, still trying to make myself right with the Lord.
oh yeah, baby,
You
and
do it
you did.
quietly.
All right, let's start the show with what we are really. Oh, we've got a salty nerd podcast raid. How are you guys, everyone? Welcome. Let's start the show now for reals, right? With a little segment we call Behind the Screens.
Sound production, take 2.
Behind the Screens is where we go to me and we talk about everything that is behind the scenes, production stuff, everything, and all my feelings because he's a massive Stephen King fanatic book reader. I think you've read all of them, right?
Not all of them, but the majority of them. My mother has read literally every single one of them and owns all of them, all the Bachman books, the original Bachman books. Yeah.
Wow. Cool. So you will help me with the book conversions. Yeah, let's you know what? Let's say hello to the chat. We'll say hello to our boy Scotty, Paul Harley, Tom's in the chat, War Monkey's in the chat, Kaliki Oki's in the chat, Christie's Corner's in the chat, Penny's in the chat, One Punch Man's in the chat. And thank you for all you lurkers. And I know Salty Nerd Podcast had a big show with Gary. I managed to watch the whole thing this time around because everything was all prepared. So if you're new here, welcome. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. You don't have to talk. You don't have to do anything. Just listen to our story. All right, let's break this thing down. The Green Mile is a stretch between the walkway of death row and the inmate, the death row inmate, and the actual room. Sorry. And of course, it was painted green, but not really green, sort of dull green. For what I've read, it's not actual super green.
What it's described as was it aged lime?
Yes, something, colors. Originally, and I think Tom said it in the chat. I kind of half saw it. Originally, Stephen King actually serialized the novel. It cut it up into pieces. If I'm not mistaken, it's 7 or 8 pieces. I can go back to
8
what
pieces
Tom
in
said.
total. Yeah.
8 pieces. Yeah. The reason is he was fed up from people going all the way, like getting the book, reading the end, and then going back and reading the whole thing. He said his mother used to do it, and it drove him crazy.
Yeah. That's also just a little aside there too. That's the reason why people that read Stephen King a lot will know, like, why was Road Work and the Desperado, like, they were like almost kind of the same book, but not really. And then you realize that, oh wow, you have to read the two together to get the full story.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know what's weird? I've been having a week where it has nothing to do with movies, but I dove deep into the recent Kendrick versus Drake feud beef.
Yeah, which by the way was fully one-sided 100% of the way. Yeah.
I'm going back and listening to Kendrick stuff because his lyrics are
great.
insane.
Yeah. Kendrick's
but
fantastic.
That's an aside. That's really an aside. Dude, 3 separate videos, one 3 hours, one 3.5, and one 4 hours, breaking down the entire thing from side to finish from 3 different perspectives. My week was great on that particular side. All right, let's get back to the movie because that's boring. A lot of Stephen King's books revolve around Maine. That's what he's known for. However, a few of them aren't. Green Mile is one of them, which is placed in Louisiana. However, the name Edgecombe, main character, Tom Hanks's character, is a town on the coast of Maine.
Yep.
Yeah. Frank Darabont adapted the novel in about 8 weeks, which is to be fair, pretty darn fast.
That's very quick. Yes.
That's pretty darn fast.
As an aside, Kira, for your question, we'll get to that, but just to cover it, there's absolutely no way that they could prove that he was innocent at that point, because the actual murderer was dead.
Yes. I actually had to recheck that before even watching because I remembered something. I went to the scene and by the time they find out, they're like, they can't do anything.
The only way would be to for him to resurrect Wild Bill and for him to confess to the murders.
Yes.
That's the only way that John Coffey was going to be saved.
And I'm saying 8 weeks. It's very significant because there is a Mr. Jingles angle to this. Because while he started to write the script or started to adapt the script, he found out his cat had a tumor, but he elected to care for it instead of putting it down. And he later discussed it in an interview, and he said that the cat was his co-writer or co-pilot on the script, and the cat passed away as Frank Darabont was doing the finishing touches on the script. Very interesting. Very interesting. On the DVD commentary, Stephen King said, this particular movie was the most faithful adaptation that anyone has done for any of his movies, and that includes The Shawshank Redemption. And if you remember, on The Shawshank Redemption, he wrote, like, Frank Darabont paid him like $5,000 in a check, and Stephen King was so happy with the script, he literally did not cash that check.
He still has it. He still has it hanging up on his wall.
Yep. Frank Darabont met Tom Hanks during the 1994 Oscars. If you guys remember, again, one of the connections from Tom Hanks to Frank Darabont and The Shawshank Redemption is the fact that he was up for Andy Dufresne, but he couldn't do it because he was doing a little film called Forrest Gump. Yeah. But when Frank Darabont talked to Stephen King said he always kind of envisioned Tom Hanks to be Edgecombe. So, like I said, Tom Hanks actually accepted the role when they offered it to him because he felt bad that he had to turn down Frank Darabont back in the day because he kind of liked Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
Michael Clarke Duncan got to the role only because Bruce Willis was working with him in Armageddon. He heard about this open casting call, and he told Frank Darabont, well, I've got a guy for you. A few people that went for the casting call was Ving Rhames.
Because honestly, I don't mean to be like a stereotype. I mean, but seriously, when you think of anyone else who could have played Joe Coffey, it would have been Ving Rhames at that time.
And a little somebody who got offered the role before the casting call, and you may guess who. I'll give you one guess. He's an NBA player.
Shaquille O'Neal?
Shaquille O'Neal was offered the role and rejected it. I checked on 2 different sources because I didn't believe the first one.
I don't believe that because they obviously did not see Kazam.
I guess they didn't.
Or play Shaq Fu.
Yeah. Josh Brolin, who recently did a JRE podcast that I'm still need to go through, was offered the role of Wild Bill, was in the running for it. He wasn't offered it. It was in the running. David Morse, who played Brutal, was offered the role before they even gave him the script. They just said, well, we've got a part for you. And when they did send him the script, it moved him to tears, and he immediately accepted it without even looking at the contract, apparently.
Yeah, and to be fair, we're going to talk about casting and stuff later, but just as one overall blanket statement, the casting in this production is perfect. I mean,
Oh yeah,
even especially it was Doug Hutchison who plays Percy, the perfect little Weasley character, like down to a T.
I've got a note for it. It's interesting. The fact of the matter is, in the novel, and you know this, in the novel, Percy is 21 years old.
Yep.
Doug Hutchison was 39 when he got the role. 2 years later, he was up for a role in some movie. 3 years later, sorry. And they didn't accept him because he looked too young. That's very interesting. But yeah, he fit the Frank Darabont said, I think it was in the DVD commentary or in an interview. I don't remember. I've seen lots. He had that baby face look to him, but he loved the fact that when he was just staring at you, he looked very menacing. Sort of, he was looking for that sadistic undertone in his face. So that's how he got the role. It's awesome. Darabont, for the role of the warden, Darabont only wanted James Cromwell. Again, he was offered the role, he offered the role without the script. Then he was sent the script, and he had the same kind of thing that David Morse had, and he immediately said, I'll do it. It's like, I'm done. Some fun stuff. Bonnie Hunt had to gain 15 pounds for the role, and in an interview, she jokingly said that it only took her half an hour to do, which is I found hilarious.
That's
I had to
Bonnie
put it
Hunt.
in.
I mean, yeah,
I had to put it in. It's just fun. Tom Hanks was supposed to play the older Edgecombe, but they did something with the makeup and it didn't quite fit. Mm-hmm. So they went with the actor that did it, who's Dubs Greer, and it was also his last film. Yep. So he was primarily a TV actor. He did a few films. This was his last one. He was already kind of sick, and they had to do some of the shoots. They had to do a workaround, shoot some of it one days, and then wait a little bit and do some shoots at different days. Yeah, because he had to go to like a clinic appointment and all that stuff. He did a few TV appearances later on, but this was his last one. He died, I think, 2003 or 2. Barry Pepper, who plays another guard, Stanton, I think. Yep. Let me check. Yeah, Barry Pepper, Dean Stanton. Yep. He was up for the role of Percy just because of the baby face thing, but of course, Doug Hutchison got it. Michael Jeter.
Which is, to be fair, I think that would have been terrible casting had they actually put Barry Pepper in that role, because Barry Pepper doesn't have that almost inherent kind of menacing look.
Yes,
that look behind the eyes where it's like something a little bit wrong is happening there.
And I think if you look at it in terms of image wise, remember, Saving Private Ryan was just a year before that with Tom Hanks and Barry Pepper, and Barry Pepper had a big sort of like I'm the sniper, God-fearing dude guy.
Yep.
I think the image wise wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
I mean, some actors can pull it off, but I don't think he could have. I don't want to knock him down, but image wise, I don't think it would fit.
No, I agree with you. Yeah.
Michael Jeter, who played Delacroix, he had a dialect coach working on him to have a Cajun specific accent. They wanted that Cajun accent. And apparently he was kind of the soul of the cast. And on his last day of shooting, Tom Hanks actually hugged him and kind of cried, because actors, as if he was really dead. Yeah. And the unfortunate part is 4 years later, he did die.
He did die, yeah.
Yeah.
What's great too is also Jeter is one of those, again, character actors that is really doesn't never really got his credit, never really got his due in a lot of ways.
He was a working actor. He did TV shows.
No, he did a lot of
films. He
working
did a lot of stuff.
but he never really got any kind of big role. I think this is probably his biggest role overall.
Could be.
I'm saying he's no Joey Pants.
Yeah, he's no Joey Pants. Speaking of Delacroix, several different mice played the role of Mr. Jingles, about 14 of them. Each one, they had to teach a different act to do, a different trick to do. So one was the running one was the
arm bit, and one was the wheel bit.
The arm bit, yeah. and one was the dead one. Not even joking. Originally on the script, the year was supposed to be 1932, but it was moved to 1935, and that is solely to include the Top Hat movie with Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers.
Yeah, because otherwise
it would have worked.
Continuity wouldn't have worked, and know that I would have caught that and be like, no.
A lot of people.
The movie wouldn't have been out yet. So
I think in the grand scheme of things, because it's such it's a real hard drama, people who really love movies would go to it, or at least I think that was the mindset, that people who would love movies would see that and would immediately do that connection, and it will break off the continuity, even though 1935 is mentioned twice. Once at the start, and once at the end. And as a general thing, over 30 of Stephen King's books were adapted, but up to 2017, when it came out, The Green Mile was the only one to break 100 million in the box office. Remember, Shawshank Redemption was a flop. Yes, it only gained traction after it went to box into.
Now it's gross afterward. Yeah.
Completely different. So the budget was 60 million and the movie grossed 286 million worldwide, where I think the second or third biggest market was Japan. 50 million, 56.
By the way,
I
know why.
Why? Come on.
Because the Japanese are very, very interested in the American penal system. Because it makes no sense to them why they would condemn someone to death.
Oh, the people with the forest of suicide don't know why people are condemned to death?
No, why they would condemn someone to death.
Okay.
They don't understand the death sentence.
Okay, yeah, I'll take it. I don't.
Cultural thing. Yeah.
Japanese anime and shit.
It's not anime, you dum-dum.
I know. I always blame anime or manga, whatever. I had to explain the difference between manga and anime yesterday.
It's super easy.
I know. Is. One is the comic book. One
manga,
is the live book, action
anime,
of the comic book. Not live action, but the cartoon version of the. It's very easy. I don't consume that content, and yet I can explain it. Just the answer is no.
Not anymore.
The answer is most countries do not have a death sentence. You know what's crazy? My country, which is one of the craziest countries in the world, we do technically have a death sentence, but it's only for one particular thing. If you're a traitor. If you are condemned as a traitor, you may have the death sentence.
Yeah.
Whatever. All right. Let's put that to bed. But yeah. So Harry Dean Stanton is in this movie. No, I was just kidding. All right, let's start at the beginning. This is a long movie, so we're gonna skip.
We're going to
a
be
few
jumping over
things.
a lot. Yeah.
Is my country Canada? No. How many people we've got in the chat? Let's see how much it drops. I'm from Israel, by the way. This is Israel. Welcome. You're welcome. And 7 people went. No, just kidding, guys. It's all jokes. We're not talking about in this channel. We
never
this
talk about
show,
politics.
I'm never going to talk about politics. In a little bit, but not like world politics. And I'm never going to discuss anything else apart from the movie. This is escapism. This is a place where me and my best buddy here, my best friend, we're just going to talk about movie like a couple of cinephiles, because that's probably what we are. He is more than me. I will admit that. But yeah, this is an escapism show. We're just going to talk about the movie and we're just going to have some fun. You know what? Let's have some fun. Because there's a lot of people here who never watched the show. Let's play our first game. What do you say? Right? We've got Tom in the chat lurking. Let's play this game. We call it Missing Marquee. Missing Marquee is where we take 10 posters of movies, have their text written off, we display them, and you guys in the chat, and all my feelings will help you too, will have to guess which movie this is. We've got 10 of these posters, and we've got a few.
I will have to say,
I've turned down the lag or I keep
latency?
forgetting. The latency between us and you guys in the chat to the bare minimum. It's about 6 to 7 seconds. Here we go. What?
We'll say, by the way, Tom, you can't help.
No, Tom is in the chat and he can help if you want
And
to.
this is one of my least favorite Tarantino films, and you know why.
You told me, but I don't know. Come on, chat. You know what this movie is. Kurt Russell and a bunch of ladies.
Kira's got it.
There we go. It's Death Proof. Of course. Correct.
This movie's so bad.
This is an adaptation of a British film, but the
Yeah.
British film was about soccer. This one is about baseball.
And it was so much better.
And we are not going to cover this when we cover the baseball month. Definitely not.
Oh, that's cool, Channel Surf.
We got the top hat screening scene was shot in our mill. It was built in 1920s and it was originally United Artists lot. Interesting.
really
Nobody knows about this movie. It's about when freaking the Bambino curse was destroyed. What is this movie? All my feelings?
No, I'm waiting for Tom.
No, Tom's not here. No, Juliet, it is not My First Kiss. Same actress. Not. Here we go.
Fever.
Aaron is here.
Yeah.
Fever Pitch. The name doesn't really work with baseball, but whatever.
It does. But
More monkeys like, let's go Yankees. I know. Sorry. I was rooting for them. What is this movie? We covered this movie.
oh yeah, I wonder what it is.
Wonder what it is. What it is. It is. There we go. Bill's on it.
Joker?
It is.
Are you a Joker?
Metal Jackal. Jackal.
Jackal.
Jackal. What the fuck? Right. I'm going to make it easy for you. It is the first one.
It has to be the first one. Yeah.
It's the first one. You know what's crazy? All 3 of them have basically the same poster, and it could work for all of them. It is unlike Toy Story, where it's a little bit different each time.
Yeah.
Leaky Oki's got it first. It is Madagascar. Correct. This
I
movie,
hate this movie so fucking much. I hate you so much.
absolutely love this movie. and it has one of the funniest Donner-verse kind of thing that happens in it. And it made me laugh in the theater so goddamn much. I had to actually repress myself.
Spike's got it, but this movie's awful.
Wait, got it. Spike has got it. Maverick. I fucking love it. By the way, I have seen like the older Maverick. The older Maverick is not good. Not good at all. This is Marissa Tomei and young and coked to the gills RDJ.
Yeah. Surprised they can get him out of his trailer.
Yeah, it's that phase of RDJ.
Was that before or after he woke up in a child's bedroom?
Before. Actually, before. Maverick is, dude, it is so good.
Well, for that monkey, we're never covering Congo now. You just ruined it.
Oh, no. Don't say that. Don't say that. All right. This is... Oh, my feelings?
I never... Is it Moonlighting?
No, it's not Moonlighting. Come on. We got a full show to go through. This is Only You. I'll punch it up a little bit.
I still don't know why the artist decided to draw her arm like that. What is she doing with her right arm?
This is Adrienne Barbeau, and
it's Swamp Thing. Yeah, they already got it.
It's Swamp Thing, of course. All right. I found this poster. This is so good. We are covering this at some point. This is an oldie bit of goldie. Let's just say this. This is the original. The remake of it is starring Mark Wahlberg, Jason Statham, and Charlize Theron.
Yeah, okay. I got it. Yeah.
But this one is the original one. The man in the it's sort of not indicative of the whole story because it has three cars in it that are very iconic. It is the Italian Job is correct. I got two more after this. Come on, guys. Step it up. Rennie Harlan movie. By the way, seen it, rewatched it last year, still holds up. And it's crazy because it didn't do so well when it came out. It is Long Kiss Goodnight. Last one.
Well, it's in the poster. It is in the poster.
I have to delete this poster then. This is
the
Majestic.
It has it right even underneath it too. Let's see that.
Yeah, I keep forgetting some of these posters are like, oh look, Teen Wolf. It says teen on it. And there's a wolf, man.
There was one other one where it literally had the title written underneath the actors that you just didn't see. It was just like,
there's the one with the Hotel Budapest. It doesn't say hotel. Yeah. It just is a picture of a pink hotel. It says Budapest.
She's like, I wonder.
I wonder why. All right. Let's dive into the actual movie. It starts off with a pretty long sort of, not really a prologue, I would say, but a sort of a prologue, sort of introducing us to Edgecombe's character, the old Edgecombe, where it's Dabbs Greer, the actor, and he's in a home. He's have this relationship with this older lady. They sit down for a luncheon or a brunch or breakfast.
It's breakfast. It's a breakfast service.
It's breakfast, right? And he tells her about, like, we called it the Green Mile. He kind of eases into this story, and then of course it switches to one of the main issues in the story. There's so many main issues in the story, but it kind of eases into the fact that when Edgecombe was there, at that time he was having a problem with his urinary tract, something that I experienced today on the flip side. Don't worry, guys. It's all good. Okay. I said I would mention it. I told you backstage I would mention it. Yes. I had the opposite effect. I
do love the fact that Darabont kind of switches from the original narrative, because the staff at the nursing home in the King's version were not so nice. Like, they were just like, they were very kind to old Paul. They weren't so kind in the short story, but that's King. Yeah.
Wait, it's a short story, not a novel?
Well, it's it's 8 different short stories.
Yeah.
Smashed together. Yeah.
All right. What is the runtime of Green Mile? 3
full
hours.
soup to nuts is 3 hours and 8 minutes.
Yeah. But that includes the start credits, the end credits, which are pretty long. But yeah, about 3 hours and 3 minutes if you want to cut it down to like net movie.
No, it's actually funny. It's 3 hours, 1 minute to the T. Then there's 7 minutes of credits.
Damn. But yeah, so it kind of rolls up to John Coffey's first introduction to the death row, basically Block E. It's where they're laying down. And I did not mention this before, but most of the movie was not actually shot on location. Most of it is sets. I think I don't remember if it's Universal or Paramount, one of them. But they used several different sound stages, but they also filmed in a Tennessee prison for some of it, from some sort of the exterior shots. And somebody mentioned it in like who mentioned it, that it was like a 1920s building. Yeah, it was kind of like an old rundown shack, few shacks, but
it's kind of the same thing they did with that Darabont did with Shawshank.
Yes, sort of the same way. So you got the outside shots where it's like an old, sort of reclaimed. I think it was a reclaimed prison. It wasn't an active prison.
Correct. Yeah.
But the inside shots were all like studios, were all sound stages.
The only really important bit, just as an aside, of the prologue is just that one bit where they do show the Fred Astaire film where he's singing Dancing Cheek to Cheek, and that's kind of what triggers his memory and gets him to tell the story to his friend. And this, I do love the start of this with the introduction of John Coffey and just showing what an absolute asshole Percy is by bringing him in screaming, "Dead man walking, dead man walking."
Yeah. I'm afraid of dark, boss. Yeah, that's a really running thing, because we're gonna mishmash a little bit front to back. When they do take Coffey out to heal the warden's wife, he's looking at the sky, and he's like, I've never, like, I like to see the stars. I've never seen so many stars in my life. I kind of, a little bit into a lot of the John Coffey psyche, I would say, was I found interesting, because he's sort of afraid of the dark.
To begin with, too, with no matter what, like, as Paul refers to him later in the film as a force of nature, he is still kind of essentially has the mind of a child, where all he wants to do is really help people. And had he had been there earlier, he would have just saved those girls.
I guess they went into they go into the bit where Edgecombe is reading the sort of report, and I love that, because it kind of leads into this flashback scene where you see how the whole story kind of reveled, just without the Wild Bill parts.
Yeah,
And
so
then
they did a reenactment, then they do a full reenactment of what's actually missing later. Yeah.
yeah, and you kind of feel like the fact of the matter is, if you see this for the very first time, you really don't know what to think. Because when you watch this for the very first time and you see him with the two girls, and everybody's like with the sort of the hunting party or the search party, and they find everybody, and the dad is there. So he really wants to kill this guy. He's beside himself. He sees him with his two dead children, and I don't really blame him. He doesn't know, and that's the whole point of that's the whole tragic thing of this whole thing, where you see him in the prison and he's terrified of the dark, and he's sort of he's very shy and timid as they put him into the prison, and where they give him sort of the rules of like, okay, you don't screw with us, we won't screw with you. I treat everybody fair here on E Block, that whole spiel. And putting Percy's demeanor aside, you've got this very large man where he's actually the same size as, or the same height as David Morse, and he is actually shorter than James Cromwell, where James Cromwell is almost 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
But they had to, like, do the, trickery and camera work and all that stuff to make him look bigger. This huge man who is like a tiny little mouse. And that's sort of like, how could he murder these children if he's so timid? It doesn't compute in your head. But
which that comes up in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, but you obviously seen the sort of what happened, and he's done for. And the guards don't question it very much. And as John Coffey walks into the prison and walks into the cell, we've got the appearance of Mr. Jangles. And that's the funny bit in it, where they keep chasing this mouse around, and he goes into, like, he hides in the, how do we call it? The padded room. He goes into the padded room, where the padded room wasn't even used before.
They call it the restrainment room.
It's partially a sort of a hole, and partially like a psychotic ward.
Well, yeah, because they put, obviously what they do with Bill later, they put him in a straitjacket, and they do that with Percy too. But
yeah, but yeah, they cleared the whole space, and then they
what did he get by you? I was here the whole time.
It's like, and that's all. It's so strange, because you have this little moment of humor in a place where it's very dark, and I don't mean like dark in terms of there's no light, but it's very ominous and somber in that place, because it's literally people who are about to die. I want to switch a little bit forward on to the Harry Dean Stanton bit, where you have an inmate who is not on death row, but he keeps volunteering to do the practice runs of the whole execution phase, because if you're on death row, you're about to be executed. What they had in 1935 is the electric chair, and they had to go through the motions in order to make sure that the person who is in charge, who does the spiel, who does the actual putting the sponge in the water, he does everything correctly in order to make sure there are no fuck ups. Yeah, there are no fuck ups. I spent a total of 12 weeks in a room just like that. Kitty Bear, I do not wish that on anybody. Anybody. Yeah, it looking at it on a movie, it doesn't feel fun.
Well, it's sort of the reason why, like, most people in most states now are starting to consider solitary confinement as actually, like, just inhumane.
It is a punishment.
Yeah.
It is a punishment within a punishment. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, Surf.
Michael Clarke Duncan was huge, but he was also a very nice guy. Yeah, everybody got to meet most of the cast. I have a picture of him. Nice dude, very nice.
I said,
I think
Michael Clarke Duncan is one of those people that I don't think anyone in the industry had ever an ill word to say about him, ever.
Yeah. I think even when he played like a bad guy, maybe that's the stuff that didn't work. So he was the Kingpin in Daredevil, but everybody I know that sort of had a criticism about the movie, not the ones that are like, oh, this movie's fucking shit, blah blah blah. I mean, like real criticism about the movie. They always say that Michael Clarke Duncan wasn't quite there for the role because his demeanor, he can't play a bad guy, or he can't pull it off as a bad guy. Even in the Scorpion King, he starts off as the mean dude, but it's sort of like I always consider that sort of like the Little John role, where he's an asshole and he's big and strong, but he's also a very kind individual. And I think that's what resonates with the role, and why Michael Clarke Duncan actually did a fantastic job with it. He was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for the Oscars. Didn't win it. I didn't check who won, but remember, in 1999 was one of the best years in movie history, for the mere fact that it was diverse in terms of what kind of story you got. Is such a big variety of stuff that you got. And this is one of them. And one of the stuff that kind of boils in is the fact that Percy, and this is a great time to actually introduce Percy. Percy is a guy who is supposed to be young. They don't mention his age in the movie. I don't think so. In the book, he's 21. He is there because he is the son of he knows the guy, governor's wife or whatever. And he's the guy who, he's not supposed to be there because he's either insensitive or
he's a sadist.
Let's just say this. He is a sadist, but he's also a coward, because as soon as Wild Bill shows up, he has a chance to hit Wild Bill and
he won't
free Dean Stanton, Barry Pepper's character, from getting choked out, and he doesn't do it, which causes a whole heap of problems. And he's a sadist only to people who are way weaker than him, so he can exert his perceived power, not actual power.
Yep.
And
which is really shown when again his actions against Mr. Jingles and Delacroix.
Yes, because he has a thing for all of them. Like he has a thing against the criminals more than the actual guards. I think the guards, and maybe except for Wild Bill, with I think he's called Billy Graham, not Billy Graham, the Native American dude.
Arlen Bitterback, which is I was going to mention that because the toot what they were doing the setup was for Arlen.
For
Bitterback.
Arlen, for his characters.
They had that one joke where it was Harry. It's like
Graham Greene. Thank you, Graham Greene.
Yeah, are they going to bring in a Native American shaman? Is he going to walk and swing his dick around? Like, I don't think he's going to swing his dick around. And also, he's a Christian.
Yeah, he's Christian. Yeah, but I think Graham Greene. I'm not sure if he is a Native American or not. I'm not sure, and I was never sure.
He is, but if not, he's played a lot of roles.
In Maverick, he played A Native American or an Indian, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? Some of them actually say, we're Indians. Yeah, we're fuck it. We're Indians. We don't care. We don't care. And I like that. I like the spunk. All right.
Speaking of spunk, I was going to mention
Yeah.
again, the funniest line
I'm about to get
has
there.
to be for Toot Toot.
Yeah. The whole Wild Bill situation happens, and Edgecombe gets hit in the nuts, and everybody's riled up, and John Coffey's signaling him to come closer, and then he grabs him, and suddenly stuff gets healed. And he goes to the bathroom and has my face when I take a leak.
Say, I never wanted to see Tom Hanks' O-face. Thank you, film.
Yes. But any guy on this chat knows that that's the face we do when we've been waiting a long time to go, and then we go. That is the face we do, ladies. It's the face of relief.
Well, if it wasn't Israel that got him, it's that one, buddy.
Oh, yeah. 17 people left. Holy shit. No, I'm just joking. Just joking. Something else happened. Oh, no, I can't show that. I'll show this. I love the fact that when it has the subtitles. Sometimes I have the subtitles working. It says Jan moaning.
Yeah.
Yeah. He goes home and he's like, hey, baby.
Because she even says, was like, not that I'm complaining, but we haven't gone that many times since we were 19. So like,
yeah,
apparently there was no need for Viagra.
Yes,
there was
no need.
Like,
yeah, there was no need. And remember, he's 44 in 1935, so he's not like he's 30, and they're going at it like rabbits.
Yeah,
but yeah, he's 35, and I want to sort of the next scene is the scene where he talks to John Coffey's lawyer, who is played by Gary Sinise. Now, this is a great time to talk about the casting, because there are so many different connections between the actors that have sort of like played with each other in different films that are super great. So Hanks and Gary Sinise did Forrest Gump together, they did Apollo 13 together, and they did this together. Barry Pepper and Tom Hanks did Saving Private Ryan together. What's his face? The guy who plays the dad that his girls are killed, he played in the Shawshank Redemption. So there's lots of different angles to
which is
Frank Darabont.
As we talked about backstage too, that actor was in one of the very first episodes of Tales from the Crypt. And you know what he played?
No.
An executioner who killed people via electric chair.
The actor's name is before the chat. Let's see if I can get it before the chat. It is William Sadler. William Sadler. Keep forgetting his name, but he's been in a lot of stuff that I absolutely adore. Yep. So it's good.
Old Sparky.
Yep. There we go. So this is Edgecombe kind of going in and finding out what really happened, because at this point he does have some doubts about whether or not John Coffey can actually kill two little children, because he realizes it's sort of not in his name. How he could have killed two children, and he could have killed Edgecombe right there and then. And all he did was heal him somehow with this unknown magic of sorts.
What's really important about that too is the fact that no matter how bad his bladder infection got, he refused to take time off of work to go see the doctor. But as soon as he was healed, he took time off to go see the attorney.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is where the Wild Bill angle kind of develops. It starts off with him spitting on.
Oh, I was gonna say real quick.
Okay.
The best part about the scene with Gary Sinise has to be the dog story.
Go ahead.
The mutt. It's a little bit more embellished in the book, but I think that's one of the best scenes actually in the film.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. It went by my head, but okay. What I wanted to discuss is this is where Sam Rockwell kind of shines, and
yes, he does.
This is where Zephram Beeblebrook's
yeah, we talked about this. Like, yeah, they were casting for Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and they just saw him like, oh, the laugh.
Yeah,
get Rockwell, get him on the phone.
This is my first kind of time that I've actually remember seeing Sam Rockwell do something. Like the next time I've seen him is like Charlie's Angels as the bad guy. That I can remember. I know he was in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, but look, if you remember, it's actually Sam Rockwell. You're like either Tom Connors Jr. or whatever. But yeah, he is absolutely insane, and he goes insane on purpose, and they don't know how to deal with him because
how he fakes being drugged, sedated in order to pull them off. And I got the moon pie bit, chef's kiss.
Yes,
it was because again that reminded me so much with this is it's in the book, but it's not really written this way with especially the way that he does the fist smashing his cheeks.
Yeah,
because the first thing I think of when I see that, right?
No,
Animal House.
Oh,
look at me! I'm a zit.
I'm a zit. Get it? Yeah. I wonder if he was channeling his inner James
little Belushi, yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, during the course of what happens is they're trying to figure out how to deal with Percy. He had that little scuffle with Delacroix. It doesn't go. It's not like going all the way, but you can see that he has issues with Delacroix. And what they do is they give him a chance to sort of have a little bit more, a little bit more responsibility in order to try and straighten him out. Maybe
no, because they say he all or gives Paul the heads up, like, just let me be the front room of the next execution. I will write my papers. I will sign off on my next job, and I will leave.
Yeah. And
then he said, if I don't, well, then maybe I'll just stay here forever.
Yeah. And it seems like this is his sadistic side coming through. It's like, I want to fucking kill people. Sort of that sort of a thing. That's the vibe I got from him.
Which also, like, his ultimate sadism comes into play with the fact that the first time that with Mr. Jingles, and Dell shows Mr. Jingles' tricks and everything, and Dell asks, well, can I get a cigar box with him?
Yeah.
So he can stay here with me. And it's just to give Dell hope. That, like, you think that Percy's changing as a person, where he said, no. Yeah, get him a cigar box. In fact, get some cotton swabs and put it in there. That'll fit for him real nice. Where you're thinking, okay, maybe he's not such an asshole. No, it's to give Dell hope.
Yeah. Which could be snatched away at any minute.
Anytime. Exactly.
Yeah. And this is where it kind of had that run-in with Wild Bill, and as he grabs him, he pisses his pants. And Delacroix kind of points it out.
Well, because that's after he startled Delacroix.
Yeah. So. Like I said, it's sort of like that. It kind of turns into this. He hates Delacroix into he really hates Delacroix because he pointed out that, oh, you pissed your pants, kind of a thing. It's like, and it became personal. And then, of course, when Mr. Jingles runs away, he stepped on him and he literally crushed Delacroix.
Yeah. Which that was such a sweet moment too, where again, it comes up a little bit later as well, but this was sort of just how they're trying to placate Delacroix in a very polite way with the whole thing like, oh no, we'll send it to Mouseville. It's in Tampa, Florida. You know, the circus mice there. He'll live
that whole bit where Brutal and Edgecombe kind of sort of sitting around with Delacroix as if Delacroix is not like he killed 2 people. I think
so. Yeah.
I was like, he is a murderer, and he just kind of does. Well, I know I can't say deserves the chair, but he gets what he got for a reason. But the fact that he's on death row,
where they well, just as an aside, where Brutus was talking to Percy after Arlen's execution, and Percy was over him trying to like hit him and everything.
Yeah,
Brutus put him aside. Like, no, he paid his debt. Everything's square now.
Yeah. Sort of like it puts all the guards in that same box where they will take no crap from the inmates, but they're completely fair because they know these guys are about to die. You know, for one reason or another, these guys are about to die. So at one point or another, they will have to sort of have that pay their respects kind of a thing. And they're being completely fair with them. If they fuck up, they get fucked up. If they don't, they get treated right and have a little bit of leniency in terms of what they're getting. And in this case, it's the Mr. Jingles thing. So they allow him to keep this animal where a normal inmate would not have been able to get this sort of privilege. That's where I'm aiming at. So you get why they get a little bit of leniency. Same with John Coffey. He doesn't want them to turn off his light during the night because he's afraid of the dark. So they don't, because he treats them right. So he gets treated right.
Yep. Well, that and also curing a whole bunch of people, bringing a mouse back from the dead.
Yeah, and that whole point of giving, it's not just taking away an illness that we just saw, is literally bringing a mouse from the dead, where it's a complete and utter, it's magic, I guess. They you know what I like about this movie is that they do not explain the magic.
They never tell.
They just say what it is, or not what it is, what it does. Not explain what it is. It God? Is it? It's like a Jesus come to Nazareth kind of a moment. Nothing like that.
Well, it's also kind of the same way, which in a way they do kind of link up in another story, where this is all kind of part of The Shining.
Really?
They're all kind of interspersed in that same vein of capabilities. Yeah. It's a lot more prevalent in Dr. Sleep, but yeah.
Okay. Like, it's sort of the opposite of The Shining, I would think. Shining is the sort of like the dead. Never mind. You know what?
No. There's the different capabilities of it, so you can be on different spectrums of The Shining. Like,
you could be on like the good side.
Was more of the good side. Same with Danny Torrance was.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
I get it.
That, and also Sandra, you're right. Same with Dreamcatcher. Yeah.
All right. I get it. I never made the connection, but it's Stephen King. So they do kind of, uh, they want to make sure Percy leaves because they don't really trust him to leave after what's going on. So what happens is Edgecombe kind of catches him in one of the offices and he pins him to the wall. He's like, tomorrow after the execution, you're gonna sign your papers to whatever, a bitter road or bitter side or whatever it is, and you are leaving.
Yeah. Well, to the asylum, essentially.
Yeah.
The other thing I did want to mention too is we did mention how Dell was given the mouse, but also how they did that. It's Briar Ridge, Spike's right. The setup that they had for Dell, where Arlen, who was really more cognizant, was able to speak to his family and a priest and everything before he was at his execution. Yeah. They gave Dell that fake show with the quote unquote governor of the state showing off, Mr. Jingles' tricks and everything.
Yeah.
And then we have that confrontation, and then Dell's execution and his setup, his conversation with Brutus and Paul, where he says, I wish I could have met you someplace else different.
Yeah. And this whole scene is sad, horrible, crazy, and everything in between because all the guards are weeping at this point, all of them except for Percy.
Well, no, they're not. No, that's at John.
Oh, that's for John Coffey. I got them mixed up. So, but they feel sorry for Dell a little bit. Yeah. I don't know.
And Percy wasn't there for coffees because
he was definitely not.
He was a Briar Ridge at that point.
I want to get to a specific point, so excuse me. There, I got it. So, in the rundown, the test trial, Percy does wet the I don't think he wets the sponge, but he knows he's supposed to. And then in the real execution, he takes the sponge, goes to the bucket,
and
does not do it.
No, what's interesting is I think it's so great the way that Doug Hutchison pulls this off, because he looks and he has a moment of apprehension and he's like, no, fuck this guy.
Yeah. Wait, let me just do this. I want to get to a specific point. There, I got even the lightning. So at this point, you see his hand over the bucket. Edgecombe is in the background looking sort of like, a trooper should look. Everybody's in there. And Percy is looking across his shoulder to see if anybody's looking at him. But everybody's looking at Dell at this point, not everybody else, and not what Percy is doing. And that is the look you were talking about.
Yep.
That, can I get away with it? Yeah, I can. And he just gets up and puts the sponge in, and then basically all hell breaks loose. And now I don't know if I can actually show it. Yeah. So,
well, I think you can show almost the near
three things
aftermath.
Happen. No. We'll do this. Three things happen. One, you see John Coffey in the cell, really suffering, along with Wild Bill going completely crazy in the cell. All right. It's like he's frying, and he's tossing up his bed and the fucking mattress. Yeah, and John Coffey's like completely out of his mind, sort of like afraid, crying. You can feel he's feeling the pain.
Yeah,
right.
With the way that he's shaking too. I mean, like, I know it was all acting, but the entire time, the first time I watched this film, I'd read the book before, but I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna crush that mouse. Because all I'm thinking of right then is of Mice and Men with the little bunnies.
Yeah, yes. And it's and you feel like he just like revived this mouse? Is he gonna kill him, or something's gonna happen to that mouse? Thankfully not.
Yeah.
So
no, but instead, Mr. Jingles gets imbued with near kind of immortality.
Kind of.
For a mouse? Yeah.
Yeah, for a mouse, yes. Mice live up to 2 years, by the way. From start to finish.
And from here, he has to be what?
No. If they have a wonderful life, it's about 2 years.
Yeah.
No more. And by the way, it's because their heartbeats are super fast.
Yeah.
So they just run down the clock real fast.
It kind of comes up later when Paul mentions, if he can make a mouse live that long, I wonder how long he's going to make me live.
Yeah, I think so. Second thing that happened is Dell not electrifying as he should, and stuff is going bad, and they cannot figure it out. And then the third thing is Edgecombe is looking at the bucket, and there's no wet spots around the bucket. And Percy is literally frozen looking at this horror along with everybody else in the crowd. And when he tries to look away, Edgecombe grabs him, and he's like, "You watch this thing."
Well, that, and even Hal came and like, "Turn it off." Like, he's still alive. Do you want me to turn it off now? He's just gonna suffer more.
Yeah. Can't really. Well, I can. Fuck it. He is literally burning the fuck up. And Sanders said he smells like bacon. Dude, that's not fair.
Hey, well, no, actually, that's kind of, well, that's what, well, I would say Percy used a different word instead of French fries. It's the other really bad F word that that no one should say. Yeah.
A bundle of sticks?
Yes.
Okay. You get it. Someday, somewhere, that word will lose its meaning, and we can say it because it's stupid. I like the fact that, like, the warden comes in. What the Jesus said had happened.
No, that was Hal. That was Hal. That's not Hal's. Not the warden. Hal's just
no. The warden comes in and specifically is like, "What in the Jesus fuck happened?" He didn't say fuck. He's like, he has a little bit of more of a euphemism, not to curse because it's deep South Louisiana type shit.
No, but what's great when Hal comes down and goes, "What in?" I remember this specifically because the line is completely just like something you can't forget when you hear it. What in the blue fuck happened?
Yeah.
Huh?
I want to get to it. I'm trying to get to it. Excuse me. I want to get to it. Yeah, he did say fuck, did he?
Yeah, it's Hal. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he did.
What in the blue fuck happened? Was that? Yeah.
And the blue fuck was that. He was at one point. The fire was blue at one point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm
well, that right there too.
I'm terribly sorry. I did not make that connection. I completely forgot he actually said fuck.
Yeah.
Because I thought he would not. Never mind. You know what?
Well, no, it makes sense for
my memory.
No, it makes sense for what Hal says later because he's talking about his wife and about how with her brain cancer, how she's becoming completely just delirious now. Yes. And she's cursing all the time. Like, I never thought she would even know language like that.
Yeah,
so he seems like someone who wouldn't curse. So yeah, I get it there. But just from that shot, though, you could actually see how fucking tall James Cromwell is because they're almost like, oh my god, he is
towering over them. It's completely towering over them. And to be fair, if you look at that scene and you're trying to reconcile him standing next to John Coffey, there is no scene where they're standing kind of next to each other.
Yeah.
But he's towering over them, and it's fucking funny. And when they when they kind of come back, because they said, like, look, Percy's fucked up. He's already transferred. Atchcombe says to the warden, he's already transferring tomorrow's, so there's no repercussions here. Don't worry about it. We'll make it work. And I love this when they go back and they see the fucking horrific cell that Wild Bill left after him. And they go to John Coffey and he's like, he's the lucky one because he doesn't need to live with this pain anymore.
Yeah.
He's gone to the beyond, and we all have to stay here and live with what happened.
Yeah, and how
and
Mr.
that was
Dinkles left and went underneath the restraint room again.
Yeah, and that whole idea of helping the warden thing comes from a sort of a gathering. It's sort of a Sunday lunch where almost like the main people are there. I want to get to sort of. We'll do this. Have that lunch
because it was Paul and Jan go to Hal and Melinda's for lunch, and they're talking about how like she's having a good day. I'm glad you were here for one of her good days. And then Paul is awake at night, and Jan asks him like, "What are you thinking about?" I was like, "Well, I'm thinking about having the boys over for lunch."
Yeah,
dinner, and they come over for dinner, and he must have been like, "Well, he did bring that mouse back to life."
Yeah, and he comes up with a plan, and they're like, "But we might go to fucking jail for doing that. The warden's gonna kick our asses."
They go, well, and also Hal's not the warden.
He's not the warden?
No, because they mentioned upstairs before during the warden's giving a speech, like he's singing a choir song up there. Was like, is he carrying a tune when Dell was killed? Yeah. Never mind.
All right. Fine, I guess.
More like kind of the prison manager, but
see, I paid attention like 17 million times that I've seen this movie, I guess.
Regardless, during this, you love the whole setup where Dean is, they're like, okay, so if we do this, it's going to be us, but Dean, you stay back.
Yeah.
Well, why can't it be part of it? Well, you've got 2 little ones and 1 on the way. My son's grown. It was
and Brutal,
Harry's kids, and Harry's single.
No, Dean is single, and Brutal doesn't have a family, I think.
No. Dean has the kids.
Oh, Dean had to. Oh, right. Dean sits this one out because they were talking about it in the lunch, so he has to stay. Yeah, never mind. So what they do is first of all, they drug Wild Bill, which is it's
when they're breaking the pills. Is that enough? I don't know.
I love it. They just pour it in. It's just a testament to how great Sam Rockwell is.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then of course what they do with Percy is wait a minute. Yeah, there it is. Not only do they put him in a straitjacket, they put a sock down his mouth to make sure he doesn't scream like a girl because
tape his mouth
he
over.
would.
Yeah.
Right. And when they pull John Coffey out,
what was the little pornographic comic book strip he was reading?
Don't know. Don't remember.
Something like Lois Lead Pipe or something like that. It's still just like.
But the thing is, Wild Bill is not knocked out. And when John Coffey is led out of the cell, he goes crazy. And then he grabs John Coffey, and John is scared out of his mind. Sort of like he's sort of been touched by an electricity himself. And
which is so odd because that's what refers it to as. Yeah. So
exactly.
The very bad word for black people, electric chair.
Yeah. Man, I've heard that word so many times this week. Not with the hard R. Let's just say that.
Okay.
not with the
Oh,
hard
that's
R.
oh yeah, the Kendrick thing. Yeah,
Yeah, the Kendrick thing. Yeah, the Kendrick
Yeah,
thing.
okay. Yeah,
A lot
I
of
can
it.
see that.
I've heard it. I'm good.
I can see you
I'm
hearing
good.
that a lot. Yeah.
It's not for me. I don't need to say it. It's fine. So they do take him out and he does mention the fact that he's looking at this, how beautiful the stars are and how amazing they are. And Hal greets him with a fucking shotgun.
And I think it was Harry who was like, this is why did we do this? Is a bad idea.
Yeah, it's a bad idea.
They're about to just like course correct, and then Coffee is just moseying on up.
Yeah, just from his sheer presence kind of diffuses the situations at one point, and then it kind of goes back up to being a little bit more tense when his face is close to hers as if he's about to kiss her, but he doesn't really. And
yeah, he does.
No, he gets real close, but no, sort of sucks the stuff out of her. But they're not touching lip to lip.
No, not lip. No, he kisses her forehead.
It's not, she doesn't kiss.
No, I was talking about before. He does kiss her, but he kisses her forehead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So he takes everything out, but as opposed to the couple of times that we've seen John do something and then immediately take out this bunch of flies. It to me, the flies thing was sort of like the word Beelzebub comes in, because Beelzebub is in Hebrew Baal Azvuv, which is it's Baal, the devil. But it also is Lord of the Flies.
Yeah.
So they do touch. Fine. Okay.
Regardless. The most important thing about that, though, is the fact that it is, again, it goes back to the bits about The Shining. And
no.
Go ahead.
I was going to finish the sentence. That fly thing, that connotation of what is going on, he doesn't release it immediately.
Correct. Yeah.
He is holding on to it. But to me, when I saw this for the very first time, is you're so caught up with the moment where he literally united this husband and wife thing. You're taken aback, and you're not even thinking about why John Coffey didn't release this terrible thing. But of course, it comes up later.
Well, and also it makes sense too, with him actually being able to utilize his powers. It's shown in the different ways and the manifestations around him. Like when he cures Paul, one of the light bulbs pop. When he brings back the mouse, the lights just glow bright. When he's taking the cancer away from Miranda, the house literally shakes on its foundation. It's like, regardless of what evil he's trying to bring in, it still manifests itself as something is happening, as the transference of energy is occurring around him.
Yeah, but the fact that he doesn't release it, it's sort of indicative of what's going to happen. But at the moment, he's like, okay, he's sick. We get it. He's coughing. It happened really before.
Yeah,
it happened before, but it was it's such a short period of time. You don't even realize, okay. And I'm talking about like the first watch, because you know what's going to happen. So it doesn't really matter. But as the first watch, you're like, that's very interesting. He's not, what's happening? Why is he not releasing? Why is he keeping it inside? Or if you're not asking the question, you're like, okay, that happened.
Well, in the confines of the film, in the first time, again, on first watch, you're thinking that maybe perhaps he did take in too much and there's a limit to what he can actually absorb. So that's why he's now sick and everything. And that's what, like, when they're trying to get him back, it was Harry who says, I swear to God, if he keels over, we're going to need a crane to pick him up to bring him back.
Yeah.
And Brutus is saying, I know he's on the Green Mile, but he's not going to make his date. if you know what I mean. We're gonna wake up and find him dead.
Yeah. What happens is they free Percy, and
even Brutus says, like, we're gonna let him go. He's gonna tell somebody about it. And as soon as he says that, Coffee just grabs him right by the throat.
yeah. As soon as he said that, it's going all the way, and he drops all the garbage inside Percy. And when he lets go, it's like, Percy, are you okay? And there's nobody there. There's literally nobody there. And of course, he pulls out his gun, bam, blam, blam, into Wild Bill.
Wharton. Which is so interesting too, is the fact that, like, if you look at it, would he have done that if Bill hadn't actually antagonized him?
I don't know. You never know, because it's a woulda, coulda, shoulda moment.
I'm thinking he would have, because it was more of the fact that it was more kind of Coffee's own sense of utilizing his powers to enact judgment in the correct way. Yeah.
Spike. Yeah. Definitely those flies, the evil stuff, the stuff that was taken from one place and landed into Percy were the driving force into killing Wild Bill. But
it's interesting the fact that he didn't have any malicious intent until Bill tried to antagonize him.
Yeah. Because Bill was like, do you want to kiss my ass? You want to feed my thing? And then he takes out the gun and shoot him. But yeah, would he have done it without the antagonism? We don't know. Maybe Coffee's intent was to take the bad thing, basically take the cancer from the woman and just give it to Percy. We don't know. We're on a guessing point. But
now what's interesting is
we do have a little bit of explanation on maybe it was intended to be.
Yes, because Spike is absolutely correct. I wanted to pose that because you haven't read the book, or the series of short stories. No,
but
Spike, that's actually in the stories. Yeah, Spike, no, he chose him to kill him.
No, Spike, hold that thought, because we're gonna play our second game of the night. It is it is called Screen Fighter.
Round 1, fight.
What is Screen Fighter, you might ask? Screen Fighter is where we take two movies, pit them together, and see which one is the best one. If there's no discernible difference, both of them are good or both of them are bad, we fall into our criteria, which is Friday evening, Saturday evening, out with the boys, out with the girls, out with their significant other. We've got two movies in a vacuum. Which one will we pop in? And we are a go. Guys in the chat, cast your votes. If you haven't played this game with us, this is the first time. We've got two movies in a vacuum. Which one it is? X-Men Apocalypse or Annie Hall? Feelings?
This is too easy. You know this, right?
I don't know.
It's Annie Hall. X-Men Apocalypse is the worst of that trilogy.
No, it's not. X-Men Dark Phoenix.
Phoenix. I actually think Dark Phoenix is better than Apocalypse.
Are you insane? Yeah. No, I know you're not insane. Yeah. Look at me. Really?
Yeah.
All right. Fine. We've got X-Men. Terrible X-Men movie. I haven't seen either. I think Annie Hall is worth a one watch. Put aside what you know about Woody Allen. His earlier movies are good. I don't think Annie Hall is that good. Plus, Annie Hall has a big mark on his face. It won the Oscars the year Star Wars came out, and it won over Star Wars.
That's true.
So, but that's just a side bit, but it is the better movie because it is the better movie.
Okay, fine. Given the criteria, I guess
it is the better movie,
but just mostly because, like, if you watch the film and just look at Oscar Isaacs and that terrible makeup, you go, "Oh, What were you thinking? How did that pass any tests? Seriously? Come on.
Next up, Live and Let Die or I Am Sam.
Live and Let Die. I Am Sam is a movie. Again, it's one of those films you watch once. Like, okay, I've seen that.
All right.
And I'm also kind of thinking of Tropic Thunder.
Yes, I'm thinking
You never go.
Dude, you never go full retard.
Yeah.
I Am Sam went full retard, was shunned from the Oscars. Plus, Live and Let Die, out of all of Roger Moore's Bond movies, this is one of the better ones. It had that sort of Santeria, voodoo, Louisiana kind of a feel. Love that. Absolutely love that.
I can guarantee you've never seen In the Shadow of the Sun.
I have not seen In the Shadow of the Sun. Here we go. Good.
Okay, this is actually
Brothers.
an interesting conversation here. Okay.
That's a very
All
interesting
right.
conversation.
Yeah.
Step Brothers or Jane Silent Bob Strike Back. Guys in the chat, please cast your vote. Feelings, what say you?
That's a tough one. For me, honestly, that's a really tough one.
You want me to start?
Go ahead.
Okay. Out of the, I think it's several collaborations that Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly did. I think they did 3, right? This one, Talladega Nights, and another one that I forgot his name. I know there's another
film.
one.
We don't talk
the
about
Holmes film, which was terrible. Step Brothers, out of the 3, is the better one. However, for me personally, I love John C. Reilly. I don't like Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
I don't. From all the 3, this one is the better one. It's a little bit better than Talladega Nights. Talladega Nights is not bad. It's very sort of, it's a cult classic status movie. I think this one as well. Jane Silent Bob, although not the best Kevin Smith movie, it is far and beyond one of his better ones, especially if you're talking about straight up comedy and full on slapstick comedy.
Yeah.
Jane Silent Bob is where I'm at.
Look who came in. It looks like somebody pissed in your Cheerios.
Respect the clit. Thank you, Sandra.
I will have to go with Jane and Silent Bob Strike Back, even though I do have a soft place in my heart for Step Brothers, because I swear to God, if somebody fucks with my drum kit, oh, they're dead.
Oh, yeah.
And also, it's the Catalina fucking wine mixer.
Yeah, it was Kevin Smith's last good movie. Probably.
Yeah, that's close. Yeah.
I just finished writing my Dogma review. I went back to it. Dogma is his best movie. Dogma is a culmination of what fantastic. All this good stuff Kevin Smith did. Jane Silent Bob is on the downslope. Let's just say that. It's still good, but it's the downslope. All right. Let's keep going because we've got a little bit of a movie to go. Argo, very controversial, or Thunderball.
It's Connery's Bond. It's the only Bond that I like. It's Thunderball.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Chat, cast your vote. It's easy for me. Argo, again, you mentioned it. I Am Sam. Argo is a one watch and I'm done. For me, I could have maybe even skipped it as well because I actually do know the story. And I know it got an Oscar and everything, but it's not the best movie. It definitely wasn't the best movie of that year. Thunderball is actually a fun Bond movie. It's a really good Bond movie with Sean Connery. Family Guy, Blue Harvest, hardly a movie, to be honest, or Four Weddings and a Funeral.
Yeah, re-roll that. That's not even a movie.
Yeah. Good. The Hills Have Eyes or Four Weddings and a Funeral. 1994. What a fucking fantastic year, by the way.
I would still have to go with Four Weddings and a Funeral because the Hills Have Eyes remake was all right. It's on that series of remakes that it was kind of man.
Was Rob Zombie attached to this movie?
I don't think so.
No,
He was as the Halloweens.
Oh, that's right. All right. For me, it's easy. It's Four Weddings and a Funeral. You know what? Hugh Grant is not the best part of this movie. All the other British actors in this movie, including the American Andy McDowell, are better than Hugh Grant in this movie. And I'm not. It's like if I put this movie as a Hugh Grant movie, which is, he is known for this, or Notting Hill, I would rather watch Notting Hill.
Oh, yeah. Notting Hill's way better. Yeah.
If I'm looking at just the Hugh Grant performance, I would rather watch Notting Hill. But the cast of Four Weddings and a Funeral is pretty damn good.
Yep.
Right. Last one. The Amazing Spider-Man. That's the first Andrew Garfield one, or Finding Nemo. Classic.
I probably just go Finding Nemo because I really didn't much like Andrew Garfield.
All right.
In that role. The only thing that I liked about Andrew Garfield was the BoJack Horseman joke. Are you telling me that Andrew Garfield loves lasagna and hates Mondays?
I'm going to go with The Amazing Spider-Man. First of all, I have a healthy dislike of most of the Pixar movies. I know.
Same.
Shocker. They're just not for me. I never found the appeal of Finding Nemo. Never did. I could understand a lot of like the Toy Story movies and a lot of them, even the newer ones, even Moana and all the newer stuff I can get. Never found the appeal of Finding Nemo. The whole father and son angle. Maybe I'm dead inside. I don't know. Never found it sort of mildly heart touching, as opposed to Up, where it's by far and away the best fucking Pixar movie of all time.
Yeah, that's fair.
Ugh. Next pair is fucking off the. Never mind. Right, cool. On with the movie, guys. Let me bring it up. There we go. So Percy shoots Wild Bill to death, and has that moment where all the flies come out of his face, and it's like, oh wait. And Spike said it. It's like a sort of a revenge. He's taking his revenge on Wild Bill. And we see this, and this is sort of the first time, or the first time in what we see that John Coffey did some sort of an aggressive move, which is, not sort of he grabbed Edgecomb, but it was for his own good. This time around, he grabbed Percy, and it wasn't for his own good. He did something really aggressive to him that made him do what he did. For a short period of time, he carried this load of craziness inside him, this bad stuff, this flies, this whatever you want to call it. And when it got released, I think Paul was really mad at Coffey at that point. It's like, why did you do it? Why did you put this thing inside of his body? And Coffey's like, you need to see this for yourself. And what he does is he grabs Paul again, and we go into a flashback mode yet again, where we see the the same story we saw before, but the other side, or the Wild Bill's side of the story, where he weaseled his way, or maybe not. He just went to help this farmer, because it's a farmhouse. Went to help this father with the crops or whatever, and then of course he went to the kids. It's one of the most chilling, one of the most chilling scenes I've seen, where he talks to these girls and is like, you need to shut up or I'll kill your sister. And he goes to the sisters like, you shut up or I'll kill your sister. It's like, oh my God. And John finding these kids where it went past the time where he could actually help them.
Yep.
He wanted to help them. We know he could have helped them, but it's been so long, he just couldn't do it. So there are limits to this shining, this magic that we don't like. We know it helps, but it's not enough. It's just not enough. And you feel his pain. And when he lets go, you see Paul experiencing the same pain as John Coffey, and the weight of what's happened just falls on his shoulders, and he just breaks down into tears. And it's such an awful, crazy scene. And you go back to the start of the movie where they first admitted him and he was so timid and shy, and you kind of understand in that flashback scene the scream that you see him scream when he grabs these girls, and it's like, he coulda, shoulda, woulda, might have in other circumstances, but he couldn't. And it's just, at this point, it's fucking sad.
Mm-hmm.
Yet there is more sadness in the way.
Oh yeah.
And there's a point where they pick up Percy, and it's like, Percy, what's going on? And he's all like,
he's utterly catatonic. So they send him off to Briar.
Yeah, send him off to the instead of being a guard at the asylum, he is actually in the asylum.
Yeah.
Which is that's sort of a thing. And then we have to execute John Coffey. And this is where the problems begin, because I know I'm kind of going back and forth, but he doesn't want to have the hood over his face because he's afraid of the dark.
Yeah.
Brings you right back to the start when they admitted him into the ward. It's like, oh my God. And they're sitting with him in the same way. So Brutus and Paul are sitting with him in the same way they sat with Dell. Sort of like the cage
and also
is open.
it's the same way that they sat with Arlen too.
Yes, that's right. So one is sitting down, one is standing up. The door's open, so he can try to escape, but it's not really an option. But it's much more of a laid back moment rather than you're all locked in your cages and we're out here being the guards.
Yeah. Well, it's a completely kind of different conversation too, where they're asking, is there anything that we can do for you?
Yes.
Like they genuinely want to do something positive for him because they know that he actually is innocent, that he has done nothing wrong.
And I don't remember if he mentions he wants to see the movie or they mentioned they want to see the movie.
No, he mentions he'd like to see a picture show, and it's like
and
days like angels, like up in heaven, where it's like,
I love this bit because his face was basically my face throughout my teenage years when I was watching a movie. I was not talking, focused on the movie of what's happening in the movie, eyes open, mouth open, ready to receive this incredible thing. Like, to be fair, most of the stuff was good. Some of it was not good. but this was my movie viewing experience back then. I think some of it still lingers. I've never seen Me, but I could feel that. I could feel that back then. you, you black? No. Oddly, no. It's not the blackface. It's what happens. It's the eyes. It's the mouth. And you know what I'm talking about. Stop trolling, you motherfucker. Love you, Sander. But they do have to go through the sort of the same stages. And you realize that I realized at one point that they did not do the rehearsal with the project. We finally see what Harry Dean Stanton's role in the prison. He's the projectionist of the movie.
Well, and also this also sets up from something that he tells Paul. He tells him again at the end where it says they killing what they love.
Yeah,
that's how the world is every day, all over the world. That's how it is. It's like,
and it's so weird. Yeah, it's so weird that he's the one comforting them instead of them comforting him.
Yeah,
right. It's that thing where
because it was Pepper that takes the sponge and is about to put on his head, but he's crying, and Paul leans over and is just like, "You need to wipe your face before you stand up."
Yeah. And as they flip the switch, there's so much juice that is going through. It literally like destroys the electrical system. Not really, but it overloads it to the point where
it's not the electricity, it's the release of the shining inside of coffee, and it's just that's what's blowing everything out. It's like the massive release of energy like that.
Yeah. And then of course once they have that little scene where they see his body dead on the slab on the backstage. We'll call it a morgue. It's not really a morgue. They have that sort of exchange of what just happened and the fact that they're pretty much can't do anything with what they know. They just have to carry it through their lives. And then of course,
well, to Kira's question, it's alluded throughout it that it is part of that because it's all part of Stephen King's narrative arc of that.
And like you said, it's mostly in the book rather than the movie. The movie does not do any.
They never say exactly what it is.
Yeah. This movie was powered by The Shining. Maybe.
The one thing that I did love the fact that they saved Miranda's necklace that she gave to him for saving him, and then the St. Christopher's pendant, and they put it back on his body.
Yeah. And of course, what I'm just got a little bit ahead of myself. The fact that
a little bit.
so Paul, we revert back to basically the start of the movie, Black Girl Magic. Thank you, Spike.
Yes.
God damn it. Fuck you. I'm sorry.
God damn it, Spike! You got me with that one.
Yeah, got me too. You got me too. So we're reverting back to the start of the movie where you kind of realize, oh, this is not really a prologue. This is sort of story going. So it goes into the entire movie was a flashback, and the flashback of what happened with the girls was also a flashback to going back even further.
Flashback of a flashback of a flashback.
Yeah,
but
so it's 16 flashbacks. So we're going into the current day, and he explains to her, look, I've been living this long life. He doesn't say how old he actually is, but they going into this cabin.
No, well, he eventually alludes to it.
He does.
He said how old he was at 1935, which he was 44. So it's like, But like, I know the math doesn't add up. It's like, I'm 108 years old.
No, he says I'm 108 years old when they're in the shack, but when they're sitting down to eat, it's like, yeah, I was 44 at 1935, and she says, well, your math doesn't add up, and he's like, hold that thought. Let's go to my shack that the crew allows me to go every once in a while, and of course. He tells her, oh, this is Mr. Jingles. And he's like, no, it's not. And then he takes this little roll of thread and he performs the same act that he told her about. It's not like she's seen it, but the fact of the matter is she sees a mouse does this act and he looks gray and old. And he's like, what? And he looks at her and he tells her,
old man.
I'm 108 years old and I had to see my wife die, my son die, my like brutal, all the guys, all my friends die. And then I have to see more of you die again. I will have to see you die.
Now, Sander, hold that moment. It's supposed to be an endearing thing, okay?
Yeah. It's Shaq. Thank you, Sander, for being the comic relief of this show.
I would that and the fact that he mentions the fact that he thinks that he's basically it's his curse for killing one of quote unquote God's creations.
Yeah,
and that was supposed to be there to help people. So like his curse is to see everyone he's ever loved die. I love the fact that they do harp on this, and it's actually harped on the book. That he mentioned that like I have no illusions of immortality. But like everyone has a life, like a death to give. Everyone owes a death, and I know mine's coming at some point in time, and sometimes I even wish for mine, but. No,
I you know what? This whole point, I know I'm gonna go a little bit off topic here. The whole point of sort of you want to live forever, but when you really think about it, if you're the only one that's living forever, might not be a great thing. Might not be that great of a thing.
Immortality kind of sucks.
If you're the only one that's immortal and there's no like fight for your taking off your head Highlander style moments. Like if you're the only one who is immortal and you're not like a vampire or something, it's a pretty sad reality. It's a pretty
and also if you still age too, kind of even worse.
And sort of that scene where you do see her die and he's still got his wife's picture on and he's still alive, and it cuts to Mr. Jangles kind of sitting. You kind of think he's dead, but you can still see him breathing a little bit.
Well, that they do see him too. They do that cut back to 1935 where Mr. Jangles comes out of the restraint room, and that's like tying the bow on the end of it. And then that great line at the end of the film. We all have a green mile to walk, but sometimes the green mile seems so long.
Yeah,
that's when it comes to Mr. Jingles in the box.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I have to say, just to summarize everything and send you off on your way to Pop Culture Minefield. I happily went back to this. I happily rewatched the 3 hours. If I had more time in the week and not diving into stupidity, I would have watched it again. And by the way, I would still misremember a lot of the stuff. That's how my memory works.
Oh, don't worry.
So sad. No. I'm not talking to you. You know me, Fields. You know me, how my brain works. You've talked to me so many times off camera. We talked about this. I so want to remember everything to a T. I want to remember lines. I want to remember names. And my brain does not work that way. So I'm sorry if I misremember anything. I'm not trying to do this on purpose. I really want to remember. It's just I can see it like on the way to the podcast, literally as I'm preparing everything, and I would still misremember things.
Mm-hmm.
But the entire thing is that whether it's The Shining or not, it really doesn't matter. It's the fact that there's some sort of a connection, and I want to feel it because I say it every single time, especially in the last year and a half or year plus, is about that magic of hope. It's not a coincidence that Frank Darabont's two great movies deal with prison, and not the prison itself. It's the fact that your hope to go beyond the prison. There's something that is beyond the prison, this confinement that these people are in, whether they did something bad or did not. Remember, Red in Shawshank Redemption did murder. It's Andy Dufresne who didn't. It is Delacroix who did murder, but had, I don't know, a remorse of some sort, and John Coffey that didn't. And he brought the hope element into the prison. He brought hope to Paul. He brought hope to the other guards. He brought hope to Hal and his wife. And that hope that manifested in this healing power of sorts, right? In this regenerative force that gave other people the hope, not him. And this is what I love about this movie. And this is what connected the Green Mile to me. It connected the Green Mile to the Shawshank Redemption in terms of the theme of it. And I love it. The fact that it's long, it's long, but it needs to tell the story bit by bit. Otherwise, it wouldn't be worth it.
In a way,
it would be worth it.
I will sort of disagree with you there because, as I told you backstage, this is kind of more modern King now, but it was still prevalent then. There is so much needless exposition that Stephen King writes in a lot of his novels. Most specifically, if anyone else is also powered through Under the Dome, you have my highest respect, because that novel is a slog. There are a lot of scenes I think that they could have been cut just a little bit. But I will have to say, overall, of the adaptations, I think Darabont is the one who has done King the most grace and adapted his work in a proper way.
Yeah.
Yes, we know, Paul. Come on, here we are, born to be kings. We are the princes of the universe. Come on, let's go.
I know. That was the Highlander bit, the immortality bit. I know it goes hard. I know.
Yes, and also Sandra, Mr. Delacroix lit up the room. We got you.
Yes,
two already had that. That was actually written. It's actually in the film. Two during his faith, like, this is such an electrifying experience.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that kind of brings us to the end of the show, but it's not yet the end of Thanksgiving, because we've got one more movie to discuss. And that movie next week will be That Thing You Do. Kind of an Hanks movie, but not really Hanks movie, but because he directed it, but co-starred in it, and sort of big producer of it. It's not everyone's favorite, but we're bringing in Tom Connors to talk about it with us, and he absolutely loved this movie. He said from a different reason. Like, he told me he liked it for a specific reason. So we will discuss it, and we will discuss a lot of things that are around the movie rather than just the movie itself, because it's very interesting and very tied into sort of the musical influences, the time of when it happened, all that stuff. So please go out and watch That Thing You Do. And if you haven't watched the movie, like, I really recommend you watch this movie. Even if you don't like it, Sander, shut up, watch it and come back to us, and we'll talk about it next week. Tom has no taste. Look, it's better than what Robert Meyer Burnett said this week. He said that Goonies is a terrible movie.
That's categorically false. I'm sorry, but that's wrong.
His angle was, it is a movie for kids, and the opinion was, if you were of a specific age growing up with it, you would like it. But if you were above a specific age when it came out, it would go over your head and you won't like it. And Robert was a little bit older when it came out, and it didn't quite connect with him because he was a little bit older. I can get that.
Yeah.
I categorically think it's false, but
That's wrong.
it's an opinion. And can you not like the Highlander 2? Dude, when I grew up, when I saw Highlander 2, I actually loved it. I loved it. When I saw it for the very first time, I loved it. But that's just me. And until next week, ladies and gentlemen, remember, hope is a good thing, maybe even the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. We'll see you next week. You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.